Good evening. You're now watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Vincent Chan, and here's a look at tonight's top stories. Hong Kong eases more social distancing measures as COVID cases decline. The vaccine pass scheme for children as young as 5 takes effect from today. And foreign domestic helpers get a $100 pay rise. Many of Hong Kong's remaining social distancing measures will be eased from next Thursday. More diners can sit at a table in restaurants, while a ban on cruises will be lifted. Janice Low reports.
Just days after a compulsory hotel quarantine for arrivals ended, the government announced that more social distancing measures will be relaxed. From next Thursday, 12 people can sit at a table in restaurants, up from 8. Up to 12 people can take part in group activities in scheduled premises such as gyms and karaoke parlors. The 4-person group gathering in bars and nightclubs will rise to 6, and the number of people at banquets will double to 240. The suspension mechanism for cruises to nowhere will be dropped. While the COVID situation has stabilized, health officials say it is impossible to lift all restrictions at once.
We still need to do it step by step carefully because the things that we want to avoid is actually rebounding. Sometimes we close it, sometimes we relax it, sometimes we close it and relax it again. It is actually not quite helpful or not quite useful for the industry or for Hong Kong citizens.
Healthcare services are returning to normal. Starting today, the treatment center at Asia World Expo changes to standby mode, and the number of beds at the North Lantau Hospital for COVID patients will be gradually reduced. 80% of non-emergency services in public hospitals are back to normal. 26 hospitals have also adjusted their visiting arrangements. Low-risk patients can receive 2 visitors at the same time for one 60-minute visit per day. Hong Kong today logged 4,023 COVID infections, 213 of which are imported. 8 more patients died from the virus. There are currently 1,762 hospitalized patients, 7 of whom are in intensive care. Janice Low, HKIBC.
The vaccine pass scheme for young children took effect today. The government says it won't affect most children as they have been vaccinated at least once against COVID. Chloe Feng reports.
From today, children aged between 5 and 11 will need at least one COVID jab to qualify for a vaccine pass that allows them to enter premises such as restaurants. The new measure caused some confusion on the first day. These 2 students weren't clear about the procedure, and there was no staff member in the restaurant to help them scan their QR codes. This student had a different problem. He was worried that he would be barred from eateries if his phone runs out of power. At another restaurant, a 10-year-old boy checked the menu but did not enter. He said his school does not allow students to take phones, and usually his parents help him scan the codes. Many parents have added their children's vaccine pass certificates to their Leave Home Safe apps as companions, which enables them to display the youngsters' codes by scrolling the passes sideways. This woman refused to give her son a smartphone because she fears he would use it to play video games. It's estimated that roughly 50,000 children between 5 and 11 years old have not had a single jab. Chen Shuk-yi of the Hong Kong-aided Primary School Heads Association said schools might have to rearrange educational trips or visits to accommodate unvaccinated students. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
The minimum wage for foreign domestic helpers has been raised by 2.2% after a 2-year freeze because of the economic slump caused by COVID. Starting tomorrow, they will receive an additional $100, taking their monthly wage to $4,730. Helpers who are not provided with food can get an extra $23, raising their allowance to $1,196 per month. The government approved the raise after studying the economic and labor market conditions, as well as the affordability for employers and the livelihood of the workers. The number of foreign domestic helpers has fallen over the past 2 years to about 340,000 currently. A member of the Commission on Children has proposed launching a performance indicator for carers at residential homes. This comes after several suggestions were made by a committee that looked into a child abuse scandal at a children's home in Prince Edward. Janice Lo reports.
The child abuse scandal at the children's residential home in Prince Edward shocked the city, with 34 carers arrested and charged in the case that came to light late last year. In a first phase report, the Committee on Review of Residential Child Care and Related Service made 31 suggestions on service quality, regulation and monitoring, and planning and provision. The proposals include improving the manning ratio of child care workers in residential centers from 1 to 6.2 to 1 to 4.5. Incorporating health inspectors and former law enforcement staff into the Child Care Center's Advisory Inspectorate to strengthen inspection, and setting up a surveillance period for operators who are not able to comply with the service quality standards. Social Welfare Director Charmaine Lee said all care homes have to make improvements if they want to continue receiving part or all of the department's subsidized services. A member of the Commission on Children thinks that a performance indicator should also be set up for staff as well as families and those providing care services.
I think the very concrete performance indicators have to be laid down, reflecting the principles set up, so that all parties are aware of one's roles and responsibility. And then if you fail to do that, I think it's important to build up an open and honest environment for the institution.
Loy added that this will allow carers to seek help when they face any difficulties, instead of using their own way, such as violence, to handle the situation. Janice Lo, HKIBC.
China has marked Martyrs' Day with President Xi Jinping leading senior officials to pay tribute to fallen national heroes. A ceremony was held in Tiananmen Square on the eve of National Day. Participants observed a moment of silence before Xi placed a wreath at the monument to the people's heroes. He was followed by military and political leaders, students, and representatives of various sectors. Martyrs' Day was established in 2014 to honor those who died in the defense of the country in various conflicts, including the war with Japan and the Civil War. Opposition to Moscow's plan to take over 4 Ukrainian regions has intensified as President Vladimir Putin prepares to sign a decree making those areas part of Russia.
The position of the United Nations is unequivocal. We are fully committed to the sovereignty, unity, independence and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Any decision to proceed with the annexation of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia regions of Ukraine would have no legal value and deserves to be condemned.
U.S. President Joe Biden said Washington will never recognize Russia's move. He said the referendums in which most people in the 4 regions chose Moscow were a shameless and transparent effort by Russia to annex part of Ukraine.
An absolute sham. The result.
People in the U.S. state of Florida are picking up the pieces after Hurricane Ian left behind a trail of death and destruction. At least 10 people were killed, but state authorities fear the toll could rise. Winner Wong reports.
The Sanibel Causeway in southwest Florida partially collapsed after Hurricane Ian battered it with heavy winds and rain. This now leaves Sanibel Island, which has reported at least 2 deaths from the storm, cut off by land from the rest of the state. In Lee County, one of the worst hit areas, nothing was spared, from park boats to trailer parks in Fort Myers.
I stayed here as long as I could until I got scared for my life and went across the street. In a brick home, which the 3 little pigs, they built them out of block. It's supposed to stay. Mine's built out of sticks. It didn't last too long when the big bad wolf come along and puffed it away. But I literally watched my house disappear with everything in it. Right before my eyes.
Homes along the beach were flattened, while floodwaters inundated large swathes of land. People have been urged to stay away from water as they could be in danger of alligators, snakes, and sewage contamination.
Some of the damage was, almost indescribable. Now, we absolutely expect to have mortality from this hurricane, but I would just caution people, there's a process by where that is confirmed.
Power is slowly starting to return to the millions of people who lost electricity during the storm. President Joe Biden declared a state of emergency in Florida. Ian is not finished, though. After battering Florida, it strengthened again and is expected to lash South Carolina tonight. Winna Wong, HKIBC.
Retail sales in Hong Kong dropped unexpectedly last month after rising 4.1% in July. The value of purchases came in at $28.6 billion, dipping 0.1% year-on-year. The value of total retail sales in the first 8 months of the year also declined, falling by 1.5% year-on-year. Officials expect the second batch of consumption vouchers to be handed out tomorrow will boost consumer sentiment. There was some relief for Hong Kong investors today as the stock market ended a losing streak, which saw the Hang Seng Index plunging to an 11-year low. Trading was volatile, with the benchmark down over 100 points at one stage before closing marginally higher. The tech index, however, continued its dive, losing almost 1%. It was dragged down by Meituan, which plunged as much as 5% before recouping some losses to close 2.7% lower. Tencent retreated 1.6%, falling to another 52-week low. The Hang Seng Index lost over 13% this month for a 21% loss in the third quarter. Now let's take a look at the market. The Hang Seng Index closed up 56 points. The top 10 active stocks: Alibaba up $1.10, the Tracker Fund up 9 cents, and BYD down $6.40. AIA up 80 cents, JD.com down $3.40. Forex trading against Hong Kong dollars: the euro is at 7.64. and the British pound is at 8.66. The London FTSE is up 2 points. Sichuan province delighted the public by unveiling 13 panda cubs. All the cubs were born and bred in the China Giant Panda Protection and Research Center this year. They were laid onto a platform but didn't seem too keen to greet the public, opting for its news instead. Visitors will be able to meet them over tomorrow's National Day holiday at a designated visiting area. Onto the weather now. It will be cloudy with heavy showers and occasional thunderstorms. Temperatures will range between 26 and 30 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news on Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Vincent Chan. Thanks for watching. Good night.